Hi, my name is Kevin Ladenheim. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I've prepared a little lesson on RubyPath and Linux command line tips for beginners. Let's start by grabbing the code. The project is called RubyPathTips. Download the zip file to your machine. On this machine, the destination is downloads. You can isolate the file by piping to grep. Let's make a directory. Now the archive is in our new directory. Unzip it. Here's what it looks like on disk, unzipped. Let's go down one level. So the current working directory is at the end of the prompt. And in that directory there are files f1, f2, and f4, all .rb. There's also a subdirectory called lib that has files named f3 and f5.rb. F1 is where all the action is. The other files are just function calls. They all look like this, but f2 changes to f3, f5, etc. Let's get a look at F1. Not quit, delete. The top of F1 has some useful commands that have to do with directories. When you type a command like pwd for print working directory, the Bash interpreter has to look for that executable, and it searches in a number of places, and that list of places is here in the path. So again, when you want to know where pwd actually is, which will tell you, and which finds it by searching in all of the directories shown in the path. Another useful command is, let's say you're off somewhere else and you can get many levels deep in the directory tree and you've done something here, you're all finished, you want to go back to where you came from. cd- brings you there, and it happens to be that we're working from the home directory, and the home directory has an alias all to itself. So you're off somewhere and you want to go back to the home directory. There you are in the home directory, and that's tilde. Now, if we go to the directory we've created, and we go down a couple of levels, let's say we want to go up a single level. cd ... goes up a single level. So it's important to know which Ruby version you're using, where Ruby actually is on your machine, and on this terminal window where it hasn't been set, it's here in the default location that came from this Linux distribution install. Now, that Ruby might not be the Ruby you want to use. That might be an older version. I wrote this example intending for it to only be used in version 1.9.3. There's a really slick program called RVM that allows you to run multiple versions of Ruby. Not run them, but have them available and switch between them at will. And not only Ruby, but all of the modules, libraries, gems you install are all in separate little bins with each Ruby version. So if you installed a gem for 1.9.3, you'd have it, but for a lesser version or a newer version, when that comes out, you wouldn't have it, which is great. It's a complete development environment almost that it's keeping track of for you. So RVM will tell you now you're using this newer version, and you don't have to do anything special. Now all of a sudden the Ruby command points here because of RVM. So let's prepare to look at this code some more. Clear the screen. There's our directory structure. So there are a few different ways to include other code. Load, require, and require relative. And these all work as they're written. My intention is you can break them on purpose and see what happens. F1 and F2 and F4 are all in the same directory together, and F1 is where the action is. We're in F1 right now. And so F2 and F4 are in the current working directory. That's why this line can just say f2.rb, we're in the right place. You could also say that F5 is down here under live, and that works just fine. But load is pretty dumb. If you had a file that you loaded, and then somewhere else you tried to load it again, it would just do it over and over again. Where require and require relative are smart and they'll only load each file once. Require relative is automatically adding the current working directory for you, and that's why F4 loads just fine. And it has this feature where you don't need the file extension. It tries a number of extensions, and that works fine. I don't think I would use it very much. So let's go and break one of these just to see what it looks like. So that file does not exist. Let's check our Ruby version over in this terminal window. The RVM use command needs to be run in each terminal where you're going to run the Ruby interpreter. It is not system-wide. We'll clear first. And that's broken. So let's unbreak it. Ta-da! Fixed. So F1 is actually defined in this file, and all of the other calls are in the current working directory or they're down in lib. rbconfig has some useful info that's related to this. It knows the current Ruby lib directory and the current executable directory. The output of these two is right here. So programmatically you could make decisions based on versions. If you wanted to write code that could work under multiple versions of Ruby. Another useful command, not a command, a environment variable, is loaded features. And it shows all of the gems and includes that have been loaded so far. And you can see over here F3 and F4 are shown. I see that I skipped over the $load_path, also known as $:, and that's the Ruby load path, where Ruby's searching for the targets of require and load statements, and it doesn't include the current working directory. So most confusion you're going to have, it's going to be because of this current working directory issue. And it looks to me like just using require relative for everything will be the easiest thing to do. So the output of dumping $::: to the console is right here. So Ruby looks here, or it looks places you tell it to look, like I did right here when I was loading F3. So thanks for listening. I hope this has been helpful.